So who are you?
So my name is Arash. I'm a program manager with the CRM team, and basically I own the extensibility and the programmability of CRM.
CRM is?
Well, CRM stands for Customer Relationship Management Software. Basically, we build software that helps customers manage relationships with their own customers. So we basically have different tools and different features in the product, like you can manage your sales process, you can manage your marketing, you can manage your customer service, and so on and so forth. So my particular responsibility is to make our VARs and ISVs happy and to basically go and extend our product. The way the CRM is set up is that if you install CRM out of the box, it's not going to be super useful to you. You have to go and customize it and add new functionality to adapt it to the business that you're targeting. Yeah. So it's very important for our to have a VAR and ISV community and provide all the tools and right programming model for them to go and extend us so we can be useful to different types of vertical and horizontal businesses.
Now who's in the room here?
So we have, let's start from here, we have Mike. Mike is our tech lead.
Yeah, hi Mike.
So he can talk to you about what he's doing. And we have Kevin. Kevin is one of our developers. He's been working on web services, part of the extensibility. We have Jay, who is another developer lead that we have, and he's been focused mostly on the security, the platform, and our mostly infrastructure. And I can just leave it to him to go and tell you more about what he's doing.
Sure.
So Elliot is another developer we have on the team. He's been focused on our Outlook integration. Okay. So in CRM, we think it's very important that we are integrating with different applications, specifically Office. Okay. So he's been driving that integration, and he's done lots of cool stuff in CRM 3.0 to make our integration much more performant, much more seamless. And then we have Michael, who is our dev lead.
Great.
And again, he is working on the our service management feature and also our SDK and web services and our overall infrastructure for having dynamic web services and extensibility.
Right. Now, have you guys come out with 3.0 already, or is it shipping soon? Or?
Yeah, it's actually we've been working on it very closely. We are getting to our RC1. Everybody is very excited in the team. We are hoping to RTM within the next 1 or 2 months.
Okay.
So we are very close.
Yet another Christmas present for everybody.
Yeah, we are almost done.
Everything is shipping in this company. It seems like in the next few months. So
exactly.
What is CRM? Is Microsoft CRM a web app? Is it? And how does it differentiate from the competitors out there? Tell me a little bit about the business climate you're.
Okay, it's a great question. So the Microsoft CRM comes in 2 different clients. You can have an IE client or use it as a web app, or you can use it inside Outlook. So we have an Outlook client as well. The Outlook client provides a number of additional features compared to the web client. The Outlook client allows you to take your data offline and put it on your laptop, and it's good for sales people that are on the go, or anybody who wants to take their data offline. Overall, in terms of competition, there are a number of companies that are competing with us. We believe that we have made a significant leap in this version to provide lots of new features that will put us ahead of competition, and we've been spending tons of time looking very closely at competition, what is outside in the market, and more time even working with our customers very closely, and ISVs and VARs, and understanding what they really need inside, to be able to deliver the right business solutions for different types of verticals that are out there. So we are very hopeful and keeping our fingers crossed that we are delivering the right product.
Now, I saw your product, I think, demoed as part of Jim Malchin's keynote at the PDC.
Absolutely. So our product.
Why were you up there? It's pretty rare that a CRM app would get onto a developer conference, right?
Right. So we actually had sessions in PDC. We were in 2 keynotes at PDC. Lots of excitement there. I mean, I had a session with I think over 100 developers. The room was completely full. People were very excited to use us as a platform to build business solutions on top of. We had a couple of sessions in TechEd and lots of other conferences. In keynotes, we've been a kind of a permanent member of I think during the past couple of months, most of the keynotes, you will see a CRM demo in there. And it's because it's really what the customers need. I mean, to think about all of the office scenarios, what's going to be the next step is that people using a number of tools to be able to manage their businesses, increase their ROI, and CRM is just providing those stuff.
Right. But what kind of business should consider Microsoft CRM? You know, what size business and how would I know I need CRM?
So our kind of typical installations is about 25 users, and then you can have it can have accounts ranging from thousands to hundreds of thousands, and if you have a sales department. If you have a marketing department, if you're providing any service to other businesses, you need CRM. And CRM just helps you to build a good relationship with your own customers. And also it provides you all the tools that you need to increase the productivity of your sales team, for example, to run very efficient campaigns, to run a very efficient sales process, to be able to model your business inside it's an app CRM to be able to actually increase your output and your ROI of dealing with different customer types.
Right. Now, on the geek side, I'll come over and bother you, and we'll get around.
Yeah, hang on a second.
How did you build CRM? Is it a C++ app, or is it a C# app, or?
Oh,
Yes.
man. Yes, yes.
All the above.
All of the above. What do we got? Core platform is let's call it even, half C#, half C++. The application tier for the web is all C#. And 1 million lines of JavaScript at last count or something crazy. Elliot's stuff is all C++. So
The Outlook adding,
the Outlook adding. All of the Outlook stuff is there.
It works with both the current Outlook and the Outlook 12 coming out?
We've done some initial work with some of the initial releases of Outlook 12. There are some things we'd like to actually take advantage of with Outlook 12 that we're investigating right now. Some of the new object model stuff that they're developing. So, but it won't, out of the box, it won't, but since Outlook 12 isn't scheduled to ship for quite some time, we've got some time.
A few months.
Yeah, at least. We've got some time to take advantage of what they have and really build a solution that works for customers.
Okay, very cool. So at the PDC, what did the devs think?
I wasn't at PDC.
Oh, well, who was?
I was homesick.
You were.
We said the PM.
Yeah.
So
You were homesick.
Yeah.
So at PDC, what we basically did was we kind of gave an end-to-end tour to developers and basically showed them how they can use different extensibility points that we build inside CRM platform to go and extend our functionality at their own business logic and verticalize our application. And I think the response was very positive. I mean, throughout the session, there were people, nodding and getting excited, and clapping, because essentially our platform, compared to the previous version that we had, has so many different points that you can go and extend and add your own code and add your own business logic that it really makes it easy for developers to go and adapt us to any type of vertical. And I think developers really appreciate that. For example, our call-out model allow you to go and add, write your own code inside the .NET assembly, use all the Visual Studio tools that are already out there. So if you are familiar with .NET, it's going to be a great productivity boost for you to go and use all of those tools. And now write your application, write your additional business logic, and plug it into CRM. Right. So I think the call-out framework and also our programming model on our forms and our web services were very popular areas that developers would really get excited about going and writing code now.
Can you give me some idea, or anybody, what would a developer do with the web services? Why is that important to CRM?
Let's Kevin take that.
Yeah, let me come
So,
over.
what we wanted to do is, with our web services, was in the past, like Arash was saying, we had a certain experience. We did provide web services then, but I think you're basically stuck with using our proxy that we built and gave to you. And we actually kept that similar model up for a while in this release. But then we decided that maybe that wasn't the best experience. We could provide a better experience. So what we wanted to do was, what could we do to expose our platform through web services and give a good experience to the end user. So we ended up creating a completely WSDL-based web service.
Okay.
It has one method called execute. Everything else is a message to be sent through there. And we just went through that, built that up. We realized that might be a bit different for a lot of developers. So we also created some, create, retrieve, update, delete, just some wrapped methods that kind of hid some of the peculiarities. But we wanted to provide a good experience in Visual Studio. So right now, what you can do is just create a new Visual Studio project, do add web reference, and you have a fully strongly typed SDK for our product. One other thing that we wanted to do with that is the platform is customizable. So we ship out of the box with a lot of entities, accounts, contacts, what name it. In 3.0, the end user can now add their own entities to it. So they can customize existing ones by adding new attributes, create new entities, you name it. In the old model, you really didn't have very much, there's no strong typing around that customization. In the new model, as soon as you do that, update your web reference, and now you have all those entities, all those new custom attributes strongly typed for you.
Okay.
The last thing we wanted to do was do a better job with interoperability. So we took one of our guiding posts is the whole WSI model.
Web services.
Web services interoperability.
Yeah.
When
you say interoperability, what are you trying to interop with?
So,
or what are your customers asking?
One of the things we did was we can now, if you have Java, you can actually add our WSDL to your Java project. Okay. We'll work through that. I mean, if you're running Java, you have other issues to deal with, security and whatnot. We're not yet with WSE, the web services enhancements that we're doing, but we know we're compliant to the basic profile 1.0. Our WSDL is very special, so you have to testing that and proving that's an experience. But so we wanted to be able to support other clients. So if you've got Java right now, you can sticks. You can run it out of the box. We're still taking a look at 2004 to see how that works. But we just wanted to be able to support those kinds of things.
Okay. What are some of the things that early customers are doing with CRM? Any surprising things that you didn't quite expect your customers to do with it?
We have an internal customer, our HR staffing group, is actually using our product to manage their interviews and whatnot, which is definitely on the outer edge of CRM. Seems to be working for them, though.
Yeah.
It's different. It's definitely brought up some, I don't want to call them pain points, but rough edges around our extensibility. It's not just the extensibility, but just the size of the data that we have.
Right.
It's a learning experience.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Anything else we should know about what you can do as a developer with the CRM? We're coming into it from a developer standpoint because that's who watches online mostly, but I'm sure there's going to be some CRM.
The scheduling engine extensibility.
Yeah,
Right,
definitely.
and also the client side.
What's the scheduling engine you were talking about?
Oh, Michael's probably the best person.
Come on, you said it.
Okay.
Mike is the guru.
Pass it around. So in this version, we decided to add scheduling to the CRM system. Most of our competitors don't have scheduling integrated in CRM.
And why do you need schedule? What's the scenario?
We thought it was a logical fit for field service cases. So, for example, one of the what we used to call modules in CRM, now we sell the whole thing as one package, but one of the modules is customer service. And in that case, you would take support phone calls, for example, open incidents and track how you've handled incidents, collect a knowledge base, and document how you've handled prior customer issues. And one of the missing pieces there was that you may take in a support incident that requires you to go service the customer. And so you had to handle that scheduling problem on your own in the prior version. There's also inbound scheduling where if you're a business that's oriented around selling services, then the service scheduling would help you on the sales side.
Okay.
So if it was a doctor's office or whatever, then you would be taking appointments inbound, and those would be scheduled directly with your customers. So we have good workflow interoperability with the scheduling, so that you can do things like when I take an inbound service request, it will send appointment reminders to the people that are internal and external that you're going to have this appointment, that kind of stuff.
Is that why you have the Outlook client? I mean,
We also integrate with Outlook with the scheduling, so that you can, and Ellie can speak to this in more great detail, but that the appointments that you have in CRM can come down to your Outlook so that they block on your schedule there, and that you can optionally promote your personal appointments into the system so that CRM system won't schedule you at times that you're busy with a personal appointment.
Right.
We do the very basic scheduling in this release, but there's quite a bit of extensibility built into the model that allows you to replace the entire scheduling algorithm.
Okay. And how well does it work on small devices? If I have salespeople or whatnot out in the field with pocket PCs or trios with Windows Mobile 5 on it or something like that.
The scheduling right now, unfortunately, is a fully online scenario. So we allow you to input requests into the system in our offline client, and they get queued to be played back when you go online. And at that time, you'd be prompted with, is this or is this not valid based on the availability that we calculated on the server.
Okay.
The problem is a little bit difficult because the the offline person may not have access to all of the information that is necessary to perform the scheduling of that appointment, because they would need to be able to read all of the resources that are potential selections for the service. The basic model is that you define resource pools, and then you can select a count of resources out of each resource pool, and then there's some basic optimization functions that you can use, and they're customizable as well.
Very cool. You mentioned that the way you get CRM has changed. So you get one package and it comes with all this stuff.
That's right.
That's a different licensing model than it used to be?
Yeah, our prior licensing model was by module, sales and customer service, and then there was a pro SKU that had both. Well, now we've added service management, which we've more or less classified into a superset of customer service, and also marketing automation, and decided that licensing model was just complicated and being more of a burden for our customers than help.
Yeah.
So now we just have a
so how do I buy
product.
CRM? I just talked to my Microsoft sales rep, and is it flat rate now, or is it is it based on company size?
I'm the first person to answer this question. But
Yeah, so we are not kind of licensing gurus, but basically we have two types of license you can buy, and then basically you buy it per seat, so you can buy a number of seats, and then you pay for each of the seats, and then you have that many licenses, you can have that many users. And one very cool thing that we added in this version in terms of licensing is that we added some new type of licensing called restricted user. So in the previous version, if anybody wants to pay for it, companies have to pay for it. Now with the restricted user, essentially you have a license that is much more lightweight. It still allows you to get data out of CRM, but you won't be a full-fledged user in the system. So we address lots of a web customer portal. A web portal, we enable lots of scenarios that are internet-facing for the customers who, for example, in Michael's scenario, they can go online and look at the status of their appointment and see what's going on, when the appointment is scheduled, and so on and so forth.
Right. What are the customers or the MVPs most excited about in the new release coming up?
So we actually had discussing with our MVPs about a week ago. They actually came in and discussed it. I think they generally are excited about our extensibility model as a whole, and the fact that it was very painful in 1.2 to go and customize us. Let's say we had a form that represents one of our entities. Let's say you have an account form, and you want to go and customize this form and add some additional business logic to it. So when the form is opened, it has a behavior which is different than what is out of the box. We added one thing we kind of didn't mention earlier is that we added a kind of much more comprehensive client-side programming as well. So you can actually embed your own scripts inside our code and get those scripts executed on different form events that we have. And then so you can actually have our forms behave, based on your business. If you want to open a form, you want to do some validation, whatever kind of form activities you want to do, we provide you hooks to do that. You couldn't do it in previous version. So that plus our easy customization, where you can go and add new business entities, like you can go and add a bank account in addition to account, which is an entity in CRM, and doing that through very simple to use tools and web services and our call out model. I think all of these our areas, our MVPs are very excited about going and developing, like writing articles and developing code samples that people can actually use as sort of CRM. Another area that I didn't mention is the reporting. So we made significant improvements in our reporting infrastructure. We've completely moved away from our previous Crystal reporting to a kind of a much more extensible SQL reporting platform. And that, again, generated a lot of excitement because we basically open up lots of scenarios for people to go and add any types of reports to CRM and not be restricted to just one type of report like SQL, like Crystal.
Another thing really cool on the reporting front was the addition of live Excel pivots and live Excel lists, so that it builds up a SQL query to filtered views in the SQL database, which take into account the security of a logged in user. Actually, Jay knows a good deal about that, but it's really cool. I mean, the end user result is that they see data in, like, for example, a pivot table that they have access to, and if you send that report to somebody else, they'll see the context that they have of the data that they have access to.
Oh, really?
Yes, and you can do a live update in Excel.
Wow.
Very cool.
Oh.
Yeah, I was going to say, given this month's MSDN is all the security focus again, actually these two guys, Jay and Michael, spent the last, 2 years as the security gods on the team. So, it kind of fits in real nice with this month.
Yeah.
Let Jay wander off on, it could take hours and hours to talk about what he did in the security model to really fix this.
Why is security so important for CRM?
There's a couple reasons. The big one is, I guess you'd call it poaching. So you might get one salesperson who's looking at other salespeople's stuff and saying, yeah, I think I'll take that $1 million opportunity instead. And then there's divisions. There's all kinds of stuff. The security model's been used in ways that we never thought of. We knew that we needed a very robust security model. We needed a lot of stuff around it, but we never envisioned how people would use it. And Jay would be the guy. I mean,
yeah. Tell me about some of the surprising things that people do with
one particular customer.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, in terms of the surprising things people do with the security model, I mean, basically, some of the things that people have done is, like, they may need their receptionist, for example, to be able to schedule things on their behalf. We really didn't plan for that sort of act on behalf of privilege sort of thing that we have. But so people have had to use the security model to be able to give certain low privilege users some minimum set of rights to act on behalf of other people. And so our security model is really sort of based on the way the user's business is structured. So sort of people at the higher level of the hierarchy are expected to have more privileges than the people lower down. And so people have sometimes had to invert that model, for example, to work around being able to have people at the lower level not have access to everything in the whole hierarchy, but being able to act on behalf of people at the higher level is one of the sort of surprising things people have done with it.
I was a sales support manager at NEC, and one of the things I noticed was when salespeople left the company, they would take their entire database of customers along with them.
Right.
Is there any way to sort of keep salespeople from doing that, from taking data out of the engine and putting it on their own laptops? Or
Sure.
whatnot?
So for example, in our Outlook client, you have the ability to go offline, which will actually take your data offline with you. If people don't want to allow them that level of privilege, they can simply prevent them from having the right to go offline altogether. So they have to work online. They won't be able to bring it offline. We also allow you to export directly to Excel from our web page, but that's also controllable via a privilege. So if you don't want people to be able to export their data so easily, then you can simply deny them that privilege and they won't be able to do it. And so they'll work online and won't be able to take the data offline, through any of the supported means. I mean, realistically, if it's on the screen, if they want to type it in themselves or take screenshots and stuff like that, I mean, there's nothing to prevent them from doing that. But they can certainly prevent it from any of our supported means of taking the data offline. It's all controlled by privileges.
Okay. Why do an Outlook client? I'm sure one of your competitors is known for having a web client only. What does it get customers to be able to use a smart client or an offline client like Outlook?
I think the main benefit for I guess salesmen in general, but really anybody, is that a lot of people spend a lot of their time in Outlook and want to stay in Outlook when they're working throughout the day. So they'd like all of the data they need to be in one place. They don't want to switch back and forth between applications. most people don't run multiple monitors, so they'd like to have a full application up with all the data that they have and that they need for the day. So being able to then view appointments in both CRM or in Outlook and actually have them be in both places is really useful. To be able to look at your tasks for the day and then to immediately switch just with one click to look at the contacts or accounts that are related to those tasks is very useful. So customers don't have to switch back and forth, and I think that's been one of the biggest selling points for the Outlook integration.
There's also the overlapping functionality problem with contacts, appointments is specific because people want to manage their availability in terms of scheduling that I'm concerned about. But and also tasks.
Mm-hmm.
All these things are in both systems, and so to have parity between the Outlook system and the CRM system is very important as well.
And I think along the lines of that parity, a lot of people are used to the Outlook experience. So they would, while CRM provides functionality like tasks and appointments, they feel more comfortable creating tasks and appointments in Outlook. And that's where they really like to do it. Yeah. But they want that data in CRM. So we provide a way for you to do that very easily. Clicking one button, we say, okay, this is a task which you also want tracked in CRM, and we'll do that. And then as they get changed either in CRM or in Outlook, we'll synchronize the data back and forth.
Yeah. Since you were the dev guy on the Outlook client, what tips and tricks would you have for other developers who are building apps for Outlook?
Pick a version. Pick a version.
Pick a version. I would say be very familiar with the Outlook object model, but also be willing to use other models for working with data. Don't be afraid to use Mappy. Mappy can be your friend, and you can do a lot with Mappy that you can't do with the object model. I would say if you are writing data to Outlook, you should stick with the object model as much as possible, though, because Outlook obviously does a lot of things under the covers with Mappy that you wouldn't necessarily be able to predict and do yourself going directly with Mappy. And just be willing to accept behavior you might not expect, or the documentation isn't always clear cut, so you have to play with it.
I play with Outlook myself.
Make sure you really understand what's
We're working with that.
And you will find that there are many differences in versions and how things actually work. So and especially when you start dealing with something like cached mode versus online or offline, and the differences there, it's worth exploring that and really paying attention to those differences and testing it on all sorts of clients. Yep.
Well, cool. Do you have some stuff to show us?
I have. I have some stuff to show you. Probably. Yep, I'm ready to go.
Cool.
So I can actually put this on the projector up there. I don't know whether
I can just shoot
is your camera there? Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
It's actually better on an LCD.
Okay, so I want to show you kind of a few quick things here. So first thing I want to show you is that how easy it is to access and use our web services and develop callouts for CRM using Visual Studio. So this is my Visual Studio project, and
so we're in Visual Studio now. We're not in CRM. Right?
Exactly. We are inside Visual Studio. So assume there's a developer already familiar with .NET and Visual Studio and wants to basically use his investment to program against CRM. They open Visual Studio. They add a new project. They create a new project, and all they need to do is they need to add a web reference to our web services, and it's a very kind of standard, basic scenario. You basically go and pick up the endpoint for a CRM from the CRM server, and you add that to your project. I've already added that here to my projects, and as soon as I add that to my project, I actually will get access to all of the CRM object models. So I can go and basically type things. For example, in this example, I can actually pick up a CRM entity, and then I look at all of the properties that I have in there. And as you notice, all of the properties are strongly typed, which means that they are self-describing to me. So if you are a developer, you probably love working with strongly typed data.
Yeah.
And that will allow me to actually, without going to lots of documentation, parse through our object model and find out what functionalities are available, what data model is there, and I can actually program against those. Now, the cool thing is that, as I mentioned earlier, CRM is fully customizable. It means that I can go to the CRM tool and add a new entity, and these are the kind of elements that you can work with inside CRM if you're not familiar with entities. I can, for example, go and add a vendor entity in this example, and the vendor entity essentially represents the vendors that this company is working with, suppliers that this company is working with. So I can model that inside our data model, add a new business entity called vendor. And as soon as I add that to the CRM and save and close that file, I can go back to Visual Studio and simply update my web reference to the CRM server. And as soon as I do that update, by just clicking on my web service reference and say update web reference, I will see right inside my environment, I will see all of the customization that I have done available to me at touch of my finger. So in this example, I can actually go ahead and create a new instance of a vendor object. And
I thought you were typing Italian there for a minute.
So as soon as I basically create an instance of that, again, I will have access to all of the attributes of this new custom type that I added to CRM.
Yep.
So on the fly, we will regenerate the type description inside our WSDL for all the customization that you add. So biggest feedback we had from our ISVs was, don't make me go and use a different programming model to work with customization that are added on top of CRM. With this, we provide a seamless programming model across both custom and entities that come out of the box. And that kind of makes developers very happy to have that seamless programming model. Now, the other thing I want to show you here is that the way we design our API, we kind of put a lot of thought into how can we help developers who are inside Visual Studio find the right functionality that they need to do. And the way we design our APIs is that we basically design them to be process-centric. It means that if you want to send an email and use that functionality inside CRM, all you need to do is to start typing send. And as you can see, my IntelliSense will basically, because it's listed based on the functionality, based on the processes, it brings up the send email request, and I can actually easily access that and basically run that. Or if I want to, for example, merge some accounts, I just have to start typing merge, and I get my merge request coming up in my IntelliSense. Okay. And this is a huge productivity boost for developers. In the previous version, unfortunately, we didn't have this support. Now think about, we have about 100 entities and about 5,000 attributes. And imagine if we were going and producing documentation for all of those things. It would have taken a developer ages to go and be able to work with this. And they have all of that power at the touch of their finger here. Now, the other thing I want to show you is our client-side programming. Now, before I go to the client-side programming, I want to show you how I can actually use CRM web services to build applications. What I have built here is an Office integration application, and I used Visual Studio tools for Office as well as CRM, both inside Visual Studio to build this application. And this application basically brings the Office object model and CRM object model together inside one development environment. So I can easily write code that get the data from CRM and populate it into an Office document, and get data from Office document and populate it inside CRM. And also I can go ahead and invoke CRM business logic directly from my document. And this just shows the power of our development model, where a WSDL can be used right beside the Office object model or any other application for that reason. So Kevin mentioned the BizTalk also has the same story. So when you open your Visual Studio, you load up your BizTalk project, you have the CRM web services, and you have all of those all inside one environment. You can easily write code that basically makes these two applications work collaboratively together. Now, the last thing I want to show you is our client-side programming. So this is our kind of a web service programming.
Yep. You
write a web service client, you access CRM data, you invoke business logic inside CRM. Now, the client-side programming allows you to go ahead and embed your business logic inside our forms. So for the vendor custom entity that we just created, I can go ahead and open our form designer. And inside our form designer, I have access to a number of events that I can write script for. For example, I have if I go to my form properties, I have an onload event, an unsave event, and I can simply go ahead and inside the onload event write some script that basically maybe change data or maybe do something with the form when I actually load the form for the first time. But what I want to quickly show you is I want to write a little bit of a script to show you how this is basically working inside CRM. So I'm going to go ahead and add a new field to my form. And this is a phone field that I have already added to our schema. So I can go ahead and add that. And this field, as soon as it gets added to our form designer, I can go ahead and open this and go to the Events tab and then open the Unchanged event and type in my script in here. I've already got some script that does something very simple. It basically formats a phone number into US formatting. So I can go ahead and copy that script and go back to my application and paste my script here and enable this and go ahead and OK out of this and OK out of this. So basically what I have done is that I have added some script that looks at the numbers that somebody enters into the phone field and then formats them based on the US formatting. And the cool thing is I don't need to completely go and publish this form. I can actually preview the form right over here using our tools. So I can go ahead and click on Create Form, which generates a form for me that also includes my script. So I can verify whether this is working or not. So I can go ahead.
So it auto-generated this form?
Exactly. So I can go ahead and type in a phone number here. And as you can see, I'm being very clumsy of the format. There's no formatting here. As soon as I step out of this, you will see the formatting basically take into effect. So what I have shown you is that with some scripting, you can actually change the behavior of your form and make it kind of more adapted to the business that is using CRM.
Wow. What does the CRM app itself look like?
Okay, I can actually quickly show you that. So let me cancel out of this and go to the app. So fortunately, I don't have lots of data populated here, of some data in here. So this is kind of our web client.
Okay.
And our web client basically, on your left side, you will see different areas of, or different feature sets of CRM, including the workplace when a salesperson, a marketing person, or a customer sales rep can actually go and look at the activities that are assigned to them, look at their calendar. Then we
So
have
to get to this, somebody had to buy CRM, load it on a server.
Exactly. So we are a client-server application. You have to have it on the server. You can access the server through a kind of a web client.
Does this work with all browsers or just Internet Explorer?
We've tested with IE6 and IE7. I don't think we have done much testing with other browsers.
Okay.
Do you guys know?
What's that?
Okay.
Firefox is not supported yet.
Yeah. So I can go to the different part of the application, which is the sales part. In the sales part, I can work with my accounts, contacts, codes, orders, invoices, and also I can actually look at all of my kind of sales process from the beginning to end.
Okay.
For example, when a new customer comes to CRM, they come as leads, then they become opportunities, then eventually become accounts. So I can actually manage all of that sales process right here. And then if I go to the marketing section, I will see the campaigns that I can go ahead and create. I can create full campaigns, I can create quick campaigns, and I can basically run different campaigns for our business, right? I want to maybe offer a 20% off of next month lease if I am basically running an apartment lease company. So
As a salesperson, can I see how I'm doing on quota? Because usually salespeople are paid on commission, right? So is there a way for them to see what their commission rate is and whether they've met the month's quota? Because a lot of times when you meet a quota, your commission rate goes up.
Mm-hmm. So this is a great opportunity for our partners and ISVs to go and build that functionality on top of CRM.
We do that today.
We do?
We do that.
Okay,
The pipeline
great.
reports and all the quota reports are all in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we do, there's 100 and some odd reports today.
And if you don't like them,
And if you're
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can do it. You can.
Salespeople always live by the quota. They're always. I remember working at AC, and at the end of the month, we would all be. Have I met my quota? Have I gotten in? Enough sales.
even remotely close to making my rent this much.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. So then the last thing I want to show you is the customer service part. Now the customer service part has got this new kind of appointment book that Michael was mentioning earlier on. And this appointment book allows you to look at all of the appointments that all of your resources have in your service organization.
Right.
So you can look at which technician, for example, is delivering what service to what customer.
Yeah.
And you can look at the conflicts that you may have across different appointments and different resources. And basically, you can also go ahead and escalate cases into a kind of service appointments. So you have a way to manage different incidents or cases that are coming through customer requests, and then escalate them to service appointments, and then see all those service appointments into your appointment book.
Cool.
This is kind of a quick tour of the application. One thing that we didn't mention, and one of the biggest investment areas that we have been working on, is our workflow. And the workflow essentially allow you to model your business process inside CRM. Yeah. You can go and define different sales processes and marketing processes using our tools, and we basically provide a workflow manager.
Now, do you hook in with a new workflow foundation?
So that's a very good question. So the WWF is going to be shipping in about a year now, so we basically couldn't take advantage of it, but we are seriously considering it for our next release, and we're looking at different ways that we can actually leverage them.
Okay.
So
you built your own workflow manager?
We have our own workflow built in.
Okay.
We have a workflow manager to allow you to manage different rules and define different rules in the system, and also we have a workflow monitor that allows you to track your workflow rules. Now, one of the biggest investments we made in the area of workflow is that we allow, instead of going and adding some additional rule templates, we actually completely extended our workflow by allowing you to plug in the workflow rules into a .NET assembly. So again, the same development environment that I showed you with Wizard and everything else, you can use that, and you can actually build a .NET assembly that basically includes whatever business logic that you have that doesn't come out of the box with the workflow manager, and plug that inside workflow. And that just gives you kind of a huge extensibility boost, because you can say, okay, there are a couple of rules in here, but I want to do something much more complex, and you can do that.
If a new customer walked in right now, what would they be asking to see in CRM? What kinds of questions would they? What kinds of things would they want to see?
Show me the Outlook client.
All right, show me the Outlook client. You got the Outlook client?
Show me the Outlook client.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have it on this demo machine.
Oh, bad PM.
You can get in serious trouble for that.
No.
If David saw you.
I'm kind of lost the mark there.
I
But
wonder if he's going to watch this video.
but
What's it worth to you?
but I can just try to draw the picture of what does Outlook client look
And we
like.
can always come back and see it.
You can always back. But essentially, we tried very hard to make our web client experience and Outlook client very similar.
Yeah.
So if people are using the web client for some stuff and using Outlook for some other stuff, they don't see much difference. The same kind of hierarchy of the folders and navigation you see here, you also see in Outlook. And also the integration with Outlook is much more seamless compared to previous version. It means that you actually more feel at home when you're inside Outlook, when you're working with CRM data and CRM forms. You actually don't realize that you're working with a different application.
Yeah.
Our buttons look much better. Our form, you actually have a one-click connection from an Outlook form into a CRM record. And all of those things that help somebody who is using Outlook and familiar with Outlook be very productive using CRM as well.
Yeah. Anything else that they would
Yeah,
want?
for people who use the Outlook client in version 1.0, 1.2, they'll be happy to hear that big investment area in this version was performance, and especially performance on the Outlook client. Not only is the Outlook client performance itself improved a lot thanks to Elliot and team, but on the server side, the offline syncing, the server-side support for Outlook Sync and our new address book provider stuff that Mike implemented also is very good performance and is much more reliable than the past.
Sync is an interesting one. Let's say we have 3 salespeople out in the field, and they all update the same customer name without being connected. How does it sync? How does it handle that kind of thing?
When they're offline, we record their updates and we play them back online. So it's like as if they all just updated them online at the same time. There's no backdoor for the offline stuff at all.
Very cool. Anything else I should know?
In
I wanted
general,
to come back to
performance
the
has
Fire.
improved a lot.
Yeah, I wanted to come back to the Firefox.
Okay.
So you don't work on Macintoshes then, I would assume, because
No, I don't think so. Yeah,
yeah.
Elliot probably is
No,
even better qualified.
We believe we are pretty reliant on some functionality that's in IE.
Okay.
So some of the stuff that IE does with scripting and whatnot is not available in other browsers.
Okay.
So in order to also simplify the test matrix, it made sense just to stick with one browser.
Yep.
You could probably use Firefox IE plugin.
Yeah.
If you really insist on being in that shell, then we should work just fine. No guarantees, but
Yeah.
support that. No guarantees, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's worth a try.
It's something to be aware of, because
Yeah.
some teams have cross-platform
Yep.
problems. So that's something to think about. Anything else we should think about?
One other thing, we've talked about our security model in great
Yep.
deal, but we didn't talk so much about our security push, our security effort that we've done in this release.
Okay.
So Jay and I led this effort to make sure that our product was more secure than the prior version, and we put a lot of investment into making this product more secure than the prior version.
So you did threat modeling and
We did
all the Michael Howard
actually
stuff?
correct, but we actually improvised a little on our own and found some stuff that the Secure Windows Initiative team is now trying to roll out to other groups. For example, the first thing we did was take a very detailed surface area analysis of the application, which is kind of like a broad threat model, but it's just like determine what all the functionality is in the product and find the redundancies, find out where there's sensitive data transferring over the wire, and what is is it protected or not, and that sort of stuff. And what we were able to do with just that piece of the functionality was chop off a large part of functionality that was providing no end user value, because it was perhaps like a second way to do the same thing.
Yep.
For example. So by doing that first, we chopped off entire components out of the system and vastly simplified the subsequent security push around threat modeling and security code reviews.
Yeah, that's a good point, because if my salespeople are off at Starbucks or on some Wi-Fi network, what kind of data protection do they have? Because if I'm at Starbucks, I can use a wireless sniffer and watch all the data.
Yeah, CRM works entirely with SSL, and working out any of the kinks in any of the pieces that would have failed with SSL before is one of the major pushes that we did in this release. Another thing to point out is that, as you said, security is really important to a CRM system. We've seen some of our competitors, have an analyses that suggested there was significant security flaws, and so we take that very seriously and did a lot of work to make 3.0 a lot more secure than the prior version.
Very cool. Well, thanks. Anything else?
No, I think we covered kind of the major areas of the application.
Yeah. Well, it looks nice, and it looks like customers are really excited about getting this stuff. So, so go ship. So thank you very much for meeting with me and
Thanks.
showing us the product.
Yeah, cool. Thanks. Yeah.
So you were just walking me out, and you started talking about RSS.
RSS thing.
And I totally forgot that
Yep.
the CRM has RSS now, and you were the guy who built that?
Yeah. That's
Or one of the guys?
one of the guys. So basically what I did was took a bunch of infrastructure that we built in 1.0 and a bunch of new stuff we did in 3.0 and said, okay, what's the right way to expose this stuff? And the right way is, well, we've got this cool advanced find functionality that lets people say, I want this exact data. And we wrap an RSS feed around it, and you can subscribe to your exact data. So down to, I want to know about this workflow process as it's running. So give me the events out of it. So instead of just syndicating.
So a manager could watch something?
Yep.
Okay.
So you're sitting there in Outlook 12, you've got CRM, you've got Outlook, you've got your little RSS feeds, and what's popping up is stuff about RSS.
Can I watch a specific customer account?
You can watch a specific customer account. You can watch stuff about that. You can watch your activities. If you want to deliver, instead of running the CRM app, you're running some other feed reader, you want to pop up, tell me my activities I have to worry about today. They just show up.
Wow.
So it's very, very simple, lightweight, but we've got some really cool stuff planned.
Okay.
So unfortunately, I can't go into all the details about it, but
No, but that sounds really neat, because I could watch a specific customer, that I really cared about. If there's a big deal about to happen, I want to make sure I stay in touch.
Right to the minute. Tell me.
And I
what's
might
going
not want that information in my email, because
Exactly. It's
the less
spam
stuff
otherwise.
the less stuff you can get outside of the email stream, the more efficient your email is.
Right. And that was the whole idea here, was just to say, let's disconnect this stuff. The phrase we use is unleashing business data. Because if you think about all the line of business applications, and there's hundreds of them, they all lock the data away. It's all hidden. You can't get at it. Yeah. But if you stop for a second and say, wait, hang on a second, I can give you exactly the data you want, exactly when you want it, by using RSS. Nice standard protocol,
dozens and
Are you
dozens.
using
of-
RSS 2.0 or?
Yep.
Yep.
So we use 2.0. We're using some of the stuff in IE7. So we'll actually generate list extensions. If you have IE7, you just magically get all the nice pivots.
Okay. The
And-
list kind of data?
Yep,
So
the
you're
list
using
data.
a list extension?
Yep. And all you have to do is go into our advanced find setting in the UI and define exactly what you want in the criteria. And bang, it just works.
Very cool.
So
Took you 2 weeks to get it in, I heard?
it was about 2 weeks.
Okay.
Two very long, drawn-out weeks. Labor Day weekend here, about 14 hours a day for 3 days.
Woo.
Then turned it over and went home and crashed.
Yeah. Well,
So
thanks
it
for
was all
telling me
good.
about that. I'm glad
You're welcome.
I'm glad we covered that because that was a key feature in the new CRM.
Yeah,
Thanks.
no problem.